How you doing, guys? John Cortez, JohnCortez.com, CTSGym.com, CTS Strength and Conditioning, Napa, California, and we're here today to discuss a topic that I get asked all the time. A question I get asked all the time about this particular topic is, what's your take on sports-specific training, and otherwise known as functional training, sports-specific exercises, stuff like that. Okay. I have a couple different opinions about my take on training athletes. This is just my opinion, okay? Doesn't mean I'm right, but I am a very strong believer that the most specific you're going to get for your sport is playing your sport, okay? And you'll see that in almost every competent strength and conditioning coach out there. They're all going to say that as well. All right. For example, you see this all the time with especially high skill sports that require a lot of attention to detail, like baseball. I mean, it's any sport: baseball, football, basketball. Everyone wants sport-specific movement, right? But unfortunately, if you're trying to mimic your movement in the gym, in your off-season training, you're wasting your time. Okay. Doesn't mean you got to go away from those movements. So, for example, like if you're in the off-season training, right, and you are a football player training year-round, as you should be, you don't want to stop completely. You don't want to eliminate those movements altogether. So what I mean by that is, you should still be weight training and doing your speed and agility work, in addition to, depending where you're at in the season, in the year, you should still be doing some sort of skill work, skill preparation work. So let's just say, for example, if you're in the early off-season stages, and I've touched on this before, but it's always good to go back on it. You might do 1 to 2 days of catching the football if you're a wide receiver, running light routes, right? Something that will still maintain those qualities, but it's not going to take away from your strength work, or you're not going to take away from your speed work, right? The same goes for if you're in season. You can't weight train 5 days a week in season. It's just not feasible. It's going to take away from your skill practice, which is the most important in season. So that's when you want to back off and maybe lift 1 to at the most 3 days per week. Depending if you're a starter or if you don't play as much, right? But I'm a big believer in that. And you see all these especially younger kids. They all want to do the fancy, cone drills and the speed ladders and the band-resisted sprints, and that's great. I understand. It's safe, right? It's I should say safe. I honestly feel, like parents and coaches always throw this word around, plyometrics, for younger kids. I mean, I honestly think that's a waste of time. If that's all you're doing, I don't think that's the right way to go about it. You would be better off as a younger athlete learning basic movement patterns in the gym, learning how to squat, learning how to deadlift, how to press a bar over your head, and then mastering your body weight for a long time. And we have athletes as young as 10. They do Olympic lifts from the floor, eventually. They train like our older athletes do, but we scale it appropriately. So we have bars that are lighter. We have technique plates that are much lighter. It enables them to practice the movements that are very skill-based without worrying about the load on the bar. Okay? So to answer the question, sport-specific training in the gym, not a good idea. So you see all these guys doing like what's a good example? Like mimicking a golf swing with weight or something, or mimicking throwing a weighted baseball, or like taking a band on a fence and mimicking a baseball swing with a band. It's not going to do anything for you. That's like such small, little, tiny work. It's like isolating one little muscle group, and your nervous system is responsible for all these large tasks, anyways. So think general strength in the weight room. There's no such thing as sport-specific training. However, another thing you need to keep in mind is the more advanced you get in your sport and the older you get, then you can start mimicking your sport a little bit more. Maybe like, for example, like hammer throwers and shot putters. They train with weighted implements that are heavier in order to get a greater training response, to throw their regular implement farther. Okay, that's an example. You've got like elite sprinters with resisted sleds, sprinting. Those are great. Stuff like that. All right. Just remember, sport-specific training should be specific to the energy demands of the sport, not the movement pattern. Right. So we want to train the specific qualities that are going to enhance the sport and the athlete of the sport. Right. So somebody playing baseball or softball or any sport that involves large bursts of speed and then a lot of downtime, it makes absolutely no sense to go run 10 miles or 5, like a long distance run. It makes zero sense. If you think about it, there's no rationale behind that except that it's going to make you tired and you think you've done something for the day. Anybody can say that, okay? So think smart, train smart, and remember, if you're going to train in the off season as an athlete, it's probably in your best interest to find a coach and have them prepare a plan for you so you don't have to think as much, okay? That goes for parents as well and sport coaches. Just because you're a sport coach doesn't mean you know as much about preparation for athletes in the off-season. Nothing personal, but from my experience, the average sport coach, especially for younger kids, are just parents, and it's in their best interest, I understand, but it would be in your best interest to hire somebody who specializes in this sort of thing. Okay? It's for the kids. It's all about the kids anyways. It's for the athletes, right? That's it, guys. John Cortese, johncortese.com, ctsgym.com. If you have any questions related to training, drop them below, and we'll get a video posted for you. See ya.